Welcome to BrandsTalk, the podcast that explores the world of successful brands and the secrets behind their brilliance. I'm your host, Brigitte Bakowski, a company and personal brand identity strategist. Driven by my passion for brand excellence, we reveal the stories, strategies, and insights from thought leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and experts who have propelled their brands to new heights. With a focus on authenticity, market leadership, and the power of brand storytelling, our conversations are designed to inspire and empower you to elevate your brand's radiance and attract not only the recognition, but also the clients you truly deserve. We delve into corporate branding, entrepreneurial branding, personal branding, and leadership branding, offering valuable lessons for entrepreneurs and business professionals alike. Let's get started and dive into the world of brands. My guest today is Taqua Malik. Taqua Malik, the visionary founder of FreedomVisory, leads a boutique e-commerce agency that delivers premium solutions to global brands seeking entry into the thriving digital economy of the Middle East with complete cultural resonance with local audiences. I warmly welcome Taqua Malik. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
The pleasure is all mine to be a guest in your podcast, Dr. Bridget. I'm very, very honored. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to have you on my show today. I'm so excited asking you all the tricky questions doing business and building and sustaining a brand in the Middle East. But first, can you walk us through your journey and what sparked your passion for understanding and bridging cultural divides, particularly focusing on the Middle East?
The journey has started with me doing work. Most of the time it was bilingual sort of work that involved English as a second language and Arabic as my native language. By the time and over the years, it's been over a decade, I get to realize that when you deal with a matter in a different language, it's not just only the language. It does come with a cultural dimension to it. And the way you communicate the information and make it easy for someone who's not from this part of the world to understand what you're trying to communicate to them, what they need to do next, and how just to move things forward in a way that they would find it simple and easy to comprehend and for you to make the job delivered. So by time, I got to a point where I realized that there's actually a lot of similarities in dealing with an array of people from different nationalities and cultures and backgrounds. Middle East is it's a very welcoming place, and we see people from all over the world coming here. I am based here in Dubai, and it's over 200 nationalities. So imagine how many cultures you deal with on a daily basis. And you get to know that as people may look and seem different from the outside, there are actually a lot of things in common that would bring them together. And you see this when you get to talk to them about things of common interest, weather, sports, music, food. A lot of beautiful conversation just spark from the things that we all share. So with that type of communication comes the unique culture that defines each and every one of them. And there remains that question of what is the culture like in the Middle East, how to deal with it, what are the basics, fundamentals, how do Middle Eastern people think? And it just got me to begin the journey that I can actually help make this easier and more simpler to understand for brands to come and connect and resonate genuinely and authentically with the audiences we have here locally, because it just all starts from here. It's a beautiful place to explore, but again, it has its own beautiful, dynamic, unique culture that needs to be well thought of. So that's it. That.
That is a beautiful start into this communication. And now I want to dig deeper into the art of communication in the Middle East. So how can we navigate through these nuances in the Middle East? You just mentioned there are 200 different nationalities alone in Dubai. And also all these communication styles, each of them vary greatly. And so tell me, what are some specific tips for effective communication styles prevailing in the Middle Eastern business environment? And communication styles, nonverbal and verbal, because there's also a huge difference what we are doing with our hands, and nonverbal communication is really very, very important. It has to align with our verbal communication. Can you share, first of all, the idiosyncrasies and the differences across, let's say, the main nationalities, and also perhaps giving some examples of minor details that can have a great impact?
Yeah, of course. That's a great question. Now, Dr. Bridget, when we say the Middle East, of course, it's way bigger than thinking of Dubai only. Yes, it is the highlight. It is a very metropolitan city. People from across the globe come here to work, to live, to reside. And when we talk about Middle East, we talk actually about so many countries and different cultures and different places, and it's a lot to think of. But what helps so much is that all this boils down to the fundamentals, to the basics when we talk about the local mindset and mentality and way of thinking. Middle East is considered a, a part of the world that comes with like a higher context mode of communication. Like in the West, mostly it's low context, quite direct, very much to the point. While here, you do get to hear and deal with conversations that kind of have that implied message to be sent across. It's not as direct as the Western culture, but it does involve a lot of concepts, if I may say. Like you would want to ensure that the message is communicated to the person whom you're in conversation with in a very respected way, in a way that is very much culturally aware, and always maintain the positive tone while speaking and negotiating. Middle East is a part of the world that prides being very connected when it comes to family, root, culture, tradition. This is actually something that we here in the Middle East pride so much that we think of each other like collectively. And this is one of the major differences we see, that when you deal with the Western world, things most of the time come like on an individual basis, very well defined to a certain person, a certain customer persona, and their needs and their problems, and as we talk business etiquette here. While here in the Middle East, you think of a person or a persona that is a part of a collective group, family, friends, community, tribe, society. These gatherings do matter a big time, and they have quite a remarkable influence on decision shaping and making. You asked about the body language and the unspoken cues of when communicating with Middle Eastern people. Now, that does play a very big part because, as we said, being in a higher context, more of communication here, body language says a lot. So when you talk to a person who's being quite attentive and listening to what you're saying, that says a lot. When you are dealing with a person, like let's say, for example, in a group, and you are trying to network and get yourself out there and get people to know you and just open the doors for opportunities to come your way, you see them looking you in the eye and they're really focusing on what you're saying because In the Middle East is not just a business. It's actually, I'm sharing all of this from my own experience. And of course, there's so much to be learned. It's a journey, but something that is very noticeable and quite clear that they don't just mean business when they get to know you. They would like to know you as a person. How do you think of yourself doing business here in the Middle East? How do you think of your potential customers, your prospects? Are you aware of all these cultural factors and those unspoken, quite important cues that play a major role when making a decision? Do you realize that they will be trying to find out more information about you from their close circle, trusted circle of contacts? And they will be asking around of whom dealt with this business before. How was it? How did the experience go? You will find yourself in a circle of contact who will be happily passing on a positive word of mouth about you if things went well from your previous interactions. Or if it's your first, it's going to be quite pleasing to know and learn that you're not just there for the business or the financial side of it. You're actually invested in getting to know those people as people. Communicate with them on a human level. And from there, things will unfold and will start. And it will go only positively because you've shown genuine interest in investing in them.
Exactly. Thank you so much for explaining this to us and highlighting that the conversation resides in the context. So it's really about the whole person, the personality. It's about reading between the lines. It's about building relationships first, and that takes time because you want to get to know the person better, and that builds trust. So this is of utmost importance. Thank you so much. And it's not about the individual, it's about the collective, it's about the group. You belong to a group, right? And so that is also something that we need to consider. Now, when we are doing business the first time in that region, how would you advise someone approaching business interactions in the region for the first time? Because there are some key aspects that are often getting overlooked, and these key aspects are really important to help build stronger relationships that hopefully ultimately lead to a long-term business relationship.
A very important key point to consider when planning your move or business expansion into the Middle East is to get into genuine communication with people who are well established, well connected within the industry that you're aiming to. Most of the time, it all comes down to being referred and connected to the right person. And if you're not well known and clearly identified to the community or the industry that you're aiming to expand to, it's going to be a bit harder to have that channel opened for you to navigate and to start. In simple words, I would say it, and that so far I've always seen businesses coming into this region start their first steps this way, and it worked well. That they look into establishing a good relationship with some of the key people of, let's say, connections of or influence within that industry, and from there things would evolve. As much as we are very welcoming here in the Middle East to get to know people and businesses from all parts of the world, but we would expect as well the other party to be interested in knowing and learning more about how to genuinely connect and communicate with local audiences. So for businesses looking to have a head start, it's very beneficial for them to get themselves acquainted and familiar with industries, influential people who are there, start to get some in-person meetings and make themselves more open actually to be reached out to, and for people to feel very comfortable talking to them and learning more, because it's a process. It's not a decision to be made in a short span of time. It is actually a process, because things here comes with a culture of building trust, getting to know the other party very well, having some meetings that are off the settings of being official, like non-business meetings, like for example, lunch or dinner or any sort of other gathering that gets people to know each other in a way more friendlier than in a business setting. And from there, the conversation would start to flow. You will see things progressing naturally because now you've known to them. And from there, you will be able to gently communicate what you're trying to promote and to get the business established. And they will be very helpful because now they understand what you are doing, and they will be more than willing to help and support, because as we said, when it's familiar, when it's good, and when it's genuinely invested to be available here in this part of the world, just to be present, whoever wants to have that real communication and experience how is it to interact with that business, they will do the word of mouth for you. They will tell their circles, their societies, their gatherings, their friends, their families. We got to deal or to know with this business. It's been really great experience. We really recommend it. It will just start progressing organically. So it all starts with that personal, human mode of communication, and from there it will flow.
This is great. This is great. So what I have learned now, and I want to bridge it more to branding, to the context of branding, shaping perceptions in the market. What I've learned is, first of all, get familiar with the culture, get an understanding of how that culture works, their traditions, their way of communication, so that you can have a conversation that reflects that you're genuinely interested in doing business there. And second, I suppose, being aware of who you are as a person. And here it's about shaping a perception of others, how they see you. So it's about personal branding, understanding who you are and what kind of identity you want to present in the market as a person. And that also speaks for your company brand, because usually a personal brand should be aligned with the corporations, with the company brand identity. Same set of vision, shared values, understanding who and what we stand for. So taking this now, this whole concept, entering the Middle East, doing business in the Middle East, can you share some examples of brands that have successfully built a strong, trustworthy identity in that region? Because I suppose it's all about building trust, being authentic, and also having high standards in terms of quality. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Let's take a live example. During the month of Ramadan, almost all businesses know that this is a golden time of the year for them to connect with their audiences on a very human level. Bearing in mind that when we say Middle East, it's not only the Islamic concept that we deal with. It's a very unique, varied place. So many languages, religions, and cultures. And all of them come with their own ways of communication and their own concepts to be considered whenever a business is wanting to target their audiences from that part. Now, why I had Ramadan as an example? Because it's quite a long period of time, 30 days, for businesses to be deeply connected with their targeted audience. And it actually starts before Ramadan, the preparations, the 30 days of Ramadan, the end of Ramadan, which is the festivities of Eid al-Fitr. So it's like over like 40 days actually. For a business, they really think of the way they will do their marketing campaigns and advertising. And in that month in particular, you see businesses connect really authentically. In most of the campaigns, and let's say, for example, we're talking about the popular ones, the bigger brands, it's known that within the month of Ramadan, there is a yearly competition of innovation of how to come up with a commercial that would actually be so beautiful and memorable that people even would remember it after the season is over. It's a yearly race, and we get to enjoy seeing those companies. For example, telecommunication companies, so many, they produce beautiful, very appealing media content. It's just wonderful because you don't get to see one person doing that commercial, for example, or that media campaign. You see a group of people, you see gatherings, you see the values actually being embodied within that campaign. Within those hours, people are fasting and at the time of breaking their fast. And one of the biggest, actually realistic clues on how you see these campaigns win and succeed is because people remember them. And by time, you see people, even the ones coming from totally different backgrounds or religions, they enjoy and celebrate Ramadan as well. My personal experience of meeting people of coming from societies or cultures that they don't practice fasting, but they enjoy the beauty of being there on the breakfast iftar, having that meal at the time of sunset with everyone. It's absolutely wonderful and very warm and very genuine. How we see this being beautifully connecting to businesses from different sorts of, whether it's products or services, is that they connect on a human level. That's the message here. Let's take another example. Now, here, there are so many parts of, let's say, for example, a certain country or a nation that are desert. And there's the very famous sort of excursions called the desert safaris.
Yeah.
Some automotive companies, they shaped their campaigns to the experience and the thrill being there in that part of the desert, enjoying the beauty of the golden sands at night, the stars, having those groups of friends or gatherings or families, enjoying a very, and the car is just there after giving everyone the experience of enjoying a great ride in the desert. So it gets in subtly and very delicately as we are part of that culture. We know that we know how to give you an experience that would just make you have a greater joy while you having some great time with your friends. And we're there to just make things better for you. So more or less like that. But these are just the examples that I could think of right on top of my mind because they just connect so well.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
know how to talk to people here and solve their problems and just put themselves in their positions and see what they exactly are looking for, and just the solution comes in a way that everyone says, yes, I actually relate to this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and here we come down to the essence of a brand. It's make someone feel. And it's about creating an experience. And with this experience, you explained the gathering of what the telecommunications companies does, seeing people gathering together, creating a certain feeling, belonging to a group. And the same thing with the desert safari experience. It's you make people feel, you connect with this storytelling of having that experience. So they feel themselves already in there, yeah, in that situation, in that experience. That's what brands do. So thank you also for these examples. And here we connect on this human level. Now, from the here and now to the future, let's look ahead a little bit because the trends are nowadays. It's about globalization. It's about new technologies such as AI are more and more part of our everyday life. So where is the human touch here? How would you integrate that, and how is it done in the Middle East?
So thank you so much for this great question. And matter of fact, there is a solid advancement when it comes to the adoption of digital solutions, technologies, AI, and Middle East is an integral part and a key player within the revolution that is happening globally of moving towards a world that is heavily involved with artificial intelligence and those smart solutions, energy conservation, and being sustainable for the generations to come. That being said, it is a very fine balance when a brand wanting to come and be here into the Middle East and have a local presence to consider the technology advancement happening and the very educated audience they deal with. They're very familiar with all the technology, the portals, and the solutions being released day in, day out, and being deeply connected and rooted to their origins. So, for any, let's say, digital solution, for example, let's take a digital brand wanting to come here and have an extension or expansion of their business into this part of the world. It's not just about presenting the solution as a business tool that could improve, for example, the daily operations and tasks of a certain industry, but actually how it could be something they could think of in their daily lives, how it would connect them on a level that is very easy to understand and comprehend that, yes, this relates to us. What may work, for example, in a certain city in the West might not necessarily work as is here. There should be a great deal of awareness of cultural sensitivity, the language, the localization, and understanding the context of what is exactly being delivered. And that to be toned to completely and perfectly resonate with the local culture. Making it easy for a consumer or a person, even if not they're not being a consumer yet, but for them to visualize that solution working for them, having that deep understanding of, yes, it is a quite advanced part of the world when it comes to technology adoption, but it is very cultural sensitive. That's also to be there present in their mind all the time. A key challenge here that's being faced by some of the businesses I've seen is that The Arabic language is a very rich language, and the mode of communication may differ great deal between the classic Arabic and the spoken dialect. Like the classic Arabic is unified, yes, it is the standard, but the dialect may differ not even within country to country, but from region to region. It's that unique. So you need to know whom you're addressing and how you're talking. It's strongly recommended for those businesses to make the investment to relate to everyone, not to exclude anyone, not to leave anyone behind, because successful brands, they ensure that people gather around them, not leaving anyone behind. They connect the right way to the right people they would like to have around them, but in a way that is inclusive. I here need to state the fact that as much as there is a beautiful level of people now learning and advancing their English communication, and especially the younger generations, they're doing a wonderful job. But Arabic remains the mother tongue. It remains the language of origin. So a brand wanting to connect authentically need to consider to communicate to everyone with their own native language. I saw a businessman the other day, and he spoke few words in Arabic in a way that was delightfully surprising to me. And it just, in a moment, it connected to everyone who was there, because it suddenly shifted the attention from him being a Westerner to him actually making the investment of wanting to connect genuinely with people. And in just few minutes, he was the star of the conversation. Everyone started asking, how did you learn that? How did things go? Did you find the Arabic language difficult? By the way, what do you do? We would like to know more. It was a very progressive flow, very organic it happened. But it all started because they showed interest and they invested in getting to know people and communicating to them in a way everyone would understand. So everyone felt included within that conversation.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's really about preparation, understanding cultures, being sensitive to the culture that you want to make inroads in. And it has something to do because when we're doing things, we refer to our own cultural concepts. But when we are doing business somewhere else, we need to be empathic and step into their shoes. See
Exactly.
challenges, problems, working together, communication from their perspective. And then you see where is the gap, where's the friction. And you want to close this gap, you want to bridge. And that's why preparation is so important. And also willing to go the extra mile, to show you really want to do that, taking the effort and learning the language. It doesn't mean that you are fluent. It doesn't mean you are writing a book now in a different language, but showing, hey, I'm willing. I want this. I want to understand you. I want to show you that I really am investing in working together and
Exactly.
knowing how to order a meal, saying hello, saying thank you, saying goodbye, this little conversational efforts that you're putting into. I think that really makes a huge difference because they're seeing you in a different light. And a
Exactly.
trustworthy person and someone who is authentic. And even though you are not pronouncing it in the right way, it doesn't matter. You're trying. They help you learn. So it's really
Absolutely.
about taking this extra step, doing this extra step and making that effort. Beautiful. I would like to know from you now, to wrap it up all together, 3 to 5 quick, and we would call it the Souk secrets. Maybe on the side, you explain what a souk is. I love souks. So when I'm in a city in the Middle East, I always go to the souks. I just love it very much. But maybe these 3 to 5 secrets maybe also do's and don'ts. I think they are crucial for navigating business interactions and cultural etiquette in the Middle East.
Absolutely. The Souk secrets.
Yeah.
As you are very much aware, the Souk is the word that describes traditional markets. In the Middle East, they are very well known, they're quite popular. And they're places where real business happens. They're full of traders who deal with businesses from across the globe. And it's where the secrets of successful business interactions being actually witnessed, practiced, and taught. So, quickly sharing some tips. Number one, in the Middle East, hospitality is within our DNA. You may expect to be welcomed with genuine hospitality wherever you go. Everyone would be offering you anything, no matter how big or small it is. And this is, in our culture, generally speaking, a way of welcoming you to start the conversation. And when this is being returned back, you being hospitable as well with any sort of like souvenirs or gifts, this really creates beautiful start for that relationship to begin. So hospitality is something that is deeply ingrained and rooted within the culture wherever you go. Number two, in the Middle East, there is a genuine respect for the hierarchy. So you, as a business expanding to this part of the world, you are expected to show that respect to the senior people within a business setting. There are a lot of businesses here that are family businesses. So you will see generations after generations running the business. The respect for the hierarchy is crucial. And most of the time, when you are waiting to hear on a decision to make that business happen, it will take a bit of time. So patience is key. Why? Because they are taking the approval and the buy-in from the senior people in the business. Number three, in the Middle East, people here, they are very welcoming to other businesses coming from different parts of the world. And they do know and realize that they would come with their own differences. They don't need to be compatible, of course. But that sort of understanding is something would be much appreciated and would make the conversation easier. Whenever there is, let's say, a planned business meeting, it is advisable to dress modestly. If there is, for example, a meal that you've been invited to, it is a sort of courtesy to wait for the host first to start eating, and then everyone would follow after that. When extending gifts or when eating, for example, or when we're shaking hands, it's always the right hand, not the left hand. The way when you respond, when you're being greeted or talked to with genuine interest, looking in the eyes without being so assertive, but just to show that you're actively listening and you are actually focusing with the other party. Last but not least, there is a great respect for women here who are dealing and running their own businesses. And they are also coming now very much in the forefront of their own business transactions and dealings. So this is something not to be a surprise. It's actually on the rise and being applied with very solid governmental supports in so many parts of the Middle East, because there is a genuine realization that women could do great things. So they deserve to be supported. And with that said, you may, in a business meeting, find, for example, a woman being there and as a decision maker or as the founder or as a board of director, or you may find some other people, for example, male being there. This is not to underestimate the importance of having the buy-in and the approval of other stakeholders in the business. So having a woman there is something that would actually encourage you to be more supportive to that business rather than refraining from dealing with it, because it's how the future now is being shaped for the entire community and the society to take part of that evolvement to happen. And last but not least, there is a great consideration to the religious part when dealing and talking business here. For example, when it comes to the times of prayer during Ramadan time, Friday prayers, family connections, parents here take like the utmost, of course, respect and importance. So these things need to be aware of. And when a business is expanding into this part of the world, they must include within their planning that it's not just the business. It's actually the people. Without them, this won't happen. So we should invest in understanding how these people think and interact and plan their days, their weeks, their months. So that's how they get themselves very much included and blended within that experience, and they will find some great returns to that investment. People will be very happy to work with them, support them, because they've shown, as you said, they've shown that they want to invest in being here and connect on a human level rather than just business only. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you. It's so good to hear that women are also taking a stronger role, more empowered role in business activities, and that this is supported. It's just beautiful to experience that women now have a stance in the businesses and are really empowered, and that this is supported. Yeah. All right, before coming to the end of our show with Taqua, I would love to do a quick word wrap with you. I'm throwing out some terms, and please answer in a word or in a sentence to them. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
All right. Business etiquette.
Deep understanding.
Success. What does it mean to you?
Positive impact.
Authenticity.
Being real.
Middle Eastern culture.
Very rich.
Yeah. And since you're also having a podcast, what does podcast mean to you?
Global conversations.
And last but not least, brands.
Promises and impacts.
Promises and impact. Wonderful. Taqua, where can listeners find you and get in touch with you?
Thank you so much. I'm on LinkedIn, socially active on LinkedIn. The name as is Taqua Malik, and I will be more than happy to connect with your audience and hear from them and see how I could be of support.
Thank you so much. Taqua, it was such a pleasure having you here today. It was so exciting and rich in content and meaning. We learned so much about how to brand with sensitivity so that we can navigate Middle Eastern business culture by understanding business etiquette. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine. And thank you, Dr. Bridget. It has been great conversation. And I really loved the way you designed your questions, because it gets to let people know the core and the heart of how to actually deal with this very rich part of the world in a way that would make it easier for you to success and connect. So thank you. Well done on that. And it's been great. It's been great conversation. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much, Taqua. It was such a pleasure and honor.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you.
If you loved the episode, don't forget to hit follow on your favorite app, share it with your network, and drop me a quick rating or review. Your support means the world to me and brings more exciting brand stories to you. Stay tuned for the next episode as we continue to explore the fascinating world of brands. Until then, keep shining.